Welcome. Today, we're going to be diving into something that really does start to separate those who make an impact and those who stop when things start to get tough. And that's this mindset that real impact makers start to have. Now, this is something that every person who wants to make an impact, they're eventually going to face. And this is about how you stay resilient and persevere through the challenges and the obstacles that are going to arise over time. Now, if you've ever felt like giving up when obstacles arise, if you've questioned whether your vision is even possible, or even if you've struggled to stay committed when things don't go as planned, you're not alone, because every impact maker faces these types of setbacks. The difference is how you actually respond to them. And so let me ask you some questions to set the stage and kind of see if it resonates with you. Have you ever worked hard towards something only to, hit a wall so hard that you feel like quitting? Yes, I know I have. Have you ever felt your motivation slip when facing constant setbacks? Guilty, totally guilty. Do you find yourself doubting whether you have what it truly takes to make a difference? I'm guilty of that one too. Have you ever wondered how people who create massive impact just stay motivated when things don't go their way? I've wondered that for a long time. Now, here's the truth is that, resilience and perseverance aren't just personality traits, but they're actually skills that you can develop. And today I'm going to show you exactly how you can nurture those, cultivate them, so that your setbacks no longer stop you and challenges really become more of the fuel for the mission that you're going after. By the end of this video, I want you to walk away with these 6 kind of steps, strategies that you could do to overcome obstacles and maintain motivation and really stay committed to your vision. Now, these are the same strategies I would go through with you if you were here in my office with me, if you're one of my one-on-one clients, coaching you through everything, helping you build on what you're doing and leading movements and creating real change in your life, developing and discovering your gifts and superpowers. Now, you're like, cool, well, that sounds all good, but why would I come to your office? Well, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this little thing called The Giver Method, best-selling book on Amazon. You can go get a copy. I'll put a link in the description. For those of you who aren't ready to invest the $10 to change your life, I also have a free resource down there called The Giver's Roadmap that you can go get access to. And, here at The Giver Method, we're all about helping people to discover and develop their gifts and superpowers so that they can make that greater impact in the world. And I want to take today and have you imagine, let's just imagine we're working together one-on-one. And I'm going to give you the roadmap. I'm going to give you the way in which you can build resilience, push through challenges, and make the impact that you were meant to make. Now, before we dive in, of course, if you are new here, please hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, because we don't want you to miss out on any of the content we have on unlocking your potential, igniting your impact, and really stepping fully into your mission and who it is that you're meant to be. And so with that, don't want to delay anymore. We'll jump right in and get started. The first step is that you need to reframe setbacks as your growth opportunities. Setbacks, they're unavoidable. They're just a part of life and a meaningful part of your journey, especially for those who are striving to create a great impact. Too often people look at the setbacks they've had as the signs that they're on the wrong path or that they're not capable of doing it or getting there. I've thought that so many times over the years. It causes, I saw it caused hesitation, discouragement, many times abandoning your vision entirely. It's luckily I had some good support people who have kept pushing me along throughout the years. When things don't go as planned, the default reaction is frustration or self-doubt. But, setbacks, they're not proof that, you're failing. It's just, they're simple data points that help you to refine your approach. They show you that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're becoming something new. Every challenge that comes up is an opportunity to sharpen a skill or rethink the strategy or to come back even stronger. The most successful people out there, the most people who are the biggest impact makers, understand that setbacks are not the failures that are out there. They're feedback. What do I need to do different next time? And every time something doesn't work out as expected, it provides valuable information about what you could do to improve yourself. Whether that's you try to launch something and it's unsuccessful, or you got to have a difficult conversation that doesn't go right, a missed opportunity. These moments, any moments like that, offer insights into what needs to be adjusted. Every single, industry leader, entrepreneur, change maker has experienced those moments where things just don't work out for them. But they don't let those moments define them or change who they are. Instead, they use them as, okay, that's the stepping stone to move forward. That's, giving me greater clarity and confidence. If you want to put that sort of thing into practice, just start by creating, a learning, lab, a journal that you could track, every time you face a setback, document, look at it in 3 ways. Like, what happened, what did you learn, and how you're going to apply that lesson moving forward. Like, this is just a simple habit shift that, changes your mindset, and it takes you from seeing failure as, a roadblock, a dead end, to seeing it as an essential part of progress. If you make it a habit to review that sort of a journal ongoing, then you begin to recognize the patterns and identify the areas of growth where you could refine your approach even more. I mean, another thing that you could do is, reframe the setbacks by setting up, these, like, what are my growth review points, where you're taking time to analyze the challenges that you've gone through the lens of your unique gifts and superpowers. Think of it like, how could I approach this differently using my gifts and strengths? What new skill or perspective did this situation help me to develop, and how could I use that more to make an impact in people's lives? The key is to separate the setback from your identity. Failing at something does not mean that you are a failure in any way. It just meant you failed at that attempt, that test, that trial, which is totally fine. It simply means you're learning. And without reframing setbacks, you start to break down and erode your confidence and your motivation. I can speak to that for days on end about how that shows up. And the big shift for me, the big change, is that, challenges, you can't let them become a reason to quit. Rather, they need to be the opportunity to grow. When you train yourself to see that setback as fuel for progress, then you build more resilience and you develop the ability to adapt instead of retreat when these things happen. And the more you embrace that mindset, the more you realize success isn't, about avoiding failure. It's about continuously learning, adjusting, and moving forward. It becomes really powerful when people combine that with things like the Giver method, and they use their gifts and superpowers in these different challenging situations to create more value for others. Every setback becomes opportunities to better understand and apply your unique talents. It shifts your mindset, and you make those obstacles the stepping stones that get you to where you're going. Every step forward is the right step towards the progress of becoming who it is that you're meant to be. Now, the second step or principle thing is that you have to step back and reconnect with your why. And I don't know if you've done that recently, but when the journey gets difficult, the distractions pile up, obstacles seem endless, and they're going to show up everywhere. The first thing that often fades is what was the original reason that you started that in the first place? Without a clear why, challenges, they're just going to be heavier. Motivation starts to wane away. The road just starts to feel impossible or too far. Energy, excitement that once fueled your efforts and made you always there and ready to show up is replaced with doubt or exhaustion or temptation to settle for less. Impact makers, though, they don't operate from a fleeting motivation. They operate from this place of a deep commitment that's rooted in purpose. Your why is the foundation that keeps everything else standing and keeps you going. Whether your mission is to change lives or transform an industry or create lasting legacy, that purpose must be at the forefront of everything you do. My mission is I want to help every person realize that they have multiple gifts and superpowers inside of them that are waiting to be rediscovered and unlocked and used. And most people don't realize they have them. They already know they're already there, and they just need to acknowledge that they're there and then start to nurture and develop them. Because when they do that and they start to deliver value to people in their sphere of influence without any sort of an expectation, good things happen. The universe pays you back. You have deeper, more fulfilling connections. You make that deeper impact. You live a more fulfilled life where you're excited to get up each day and interact with those around you. This idea, it anchors, it's the anchor that keeps you steady. When any sort of a storm comes or something happens, the fire just reignites when the momentum is slow. It's the reminder that your work matters even when the results maybe aren't as immediate. And so you put this into action by clearly defining you got to create what's the mission statement, what's that personal declaration of what you're working toward and why that's a non-negotiable. Take the time to answer the questions what is the impact I want to make? Who am I doing this for? And why does this work matter so much to me? The more specific and emotionally connected you are in your answers, the more powerful that mission's going to be. And then you got to come back and revisit it. You got to print it. You got to put it in places where you're going to see it. Let it be the first thing that, sets the tone for your day and the last thing that reminds you what you're doing before you go to sleep. Like if you could dream about your mission statement, like that's gold. Beyond defining your why, like you need to schedule these check-ins where you kind of look at, hey, I'm going to check in on my why and what am I doing, and ensure I'm still aligned, that I'm remaining aligned with my purpose. I reflect on how connected I can feel to my mission. I can revisit if I'm, feel like it's failing a little bit. I'm going to revisit the stories or the testimonials or the moments that inspired me to start, or that I've seen success, and read the messages from people whose lives I've impacted. So that may be looking at photos or quotes or anything that reminds you of why it is that you do what you do. Create that vision board. That's totally cool if that's what you want to do. Like if you're ever disconnected, just take intentional steps to realign yourself. That way you revisit and realign with your mission, having conversations with mentors, or stepping, back to a little bit, maybe to gain a fresh perspective. Like without a deeply rooted why, every challenge is going to feel like a reason to quit. But when your why is bigger than any obstacle or setback that could come your way, it just makes everything minor in comparison to what your vision that you're working towards. Challenges are no longer signals to stop, but the opportunities that are reaffirming your commitment and showing you that you're growing and you're getting stronger in the process that you're doing. Beyond keeping you personally motivated, like staying anchored in your why strengthens your ability to inspire and lead others as well. When your conviction is so strong, others feel it, they trust it, and they're inspired to join in on your mission. Now, the third step is that you build your, what's your support team? What's your resilient support system? I told you, I've struggled with every one of the things we're talking about. Anxieties and depressions and mental setbacks, obstacles, roadblocks, things, uncertainties, imposter syndromes. I've dealt with it. I've dealt with them all. And I still deal with them. It's not like they go away. They're still there. I've done a great job, though, of building a resilient support system that is able to able to help keep me afloat when I'm trying to make an impact. When you're leading out and you're trying to trudge new terrain for yourself, it can feel lonely, especially when the obstacles start to come up. And many impact makers try to just handle everything alone, believing that, I can persevere through this, and this is a solo effort. But I have burned myself out doing that before. Like it's not healthy for you. Like this mindset, it will lead you to discouragement, to burnout, to demotivation towards your goals. Like the weight of challenges feel heavier when you're carried alone. Without external encouragement, even the most passionate vision that you could have will start to feel like it's so far out of reach. Isolation, it weakens your perseverance, while connection strengthens and doubles and levels you up. The people you surround yourself with will either push you forward or hold you back, shaping how you respond to the setbacks and how much energy you have to keep going forward. Like true impact makers understand that their environments, like it's one of the biggest factors to their success. It's the room they put themselves in. It's the people they put themselves around. Like there's a reason I have the things in my office that I do, and that I come into an office working with my team in person. Why, intentional meetings with the people I work with through church, and having these deeper connections with family and friends. Like it's all so intentional. Like no one succeeds in isolation. The right support system, like it's about the emotional encouragement and growth, accountability, and shared wisdom. Having people believe in your mission, or challenge you to think bigger, or remind you of your potential can mean the difference between pushing through a challenge or just giving up. And the most successful change makers that are out there, entrepreneurs, leaders, like they didn't get there alone. No one is an overnight success. Like they had a network of people who helped guide them and hold them accountable and lift them up when they faced obstacles. So, you need to start by creating who's in your circle of support, who's in that sphere of influence that you have that is in your support sphere. There's going to be different types of people that you want to consider that can contribute to your resilience. So you want to think about people like mentors that can guide you, peers, that you can work with one-on-one for accountability, and then who are your encouragers who believe in your mission and your vision unconditionally. And make a list, like one person in each category, and then just reach out to them this week. If you don't have one of these people in your life, like then be intentional about seeking out networks or professional communities or masterminds or anything where like-minded individuals are gathering and have a similar mission and focus to what you have. Relationships that you build now, they serve as a foundation for your long-term success. And then beyond just like a circle of support, like what are the resilience rituals you have? What are those check-ins with your support network? Like these can be structured like meetings with a mentor, or weekly accountability calls, or mastermind gatherings. Like the key is the consistency. Like if you don't have these connections yet, then go start attending events, look for the communities, like look online, look on social media, like simple coffee meetups with those whose energy aligns with you. Like that can drive a mission forward so much. Trying to create impact in isolation, it will drain your resilience and limits your effectiveness. Like strong support systems provide the fresh insights and resources and encouragement, helping you to navigate the difficult moments with more clarity. Your support network it plays a key role in helping you maximize your gifts and superpowers that you're going to be working on as well. They help you to see things that maybe you may not see yourself. I said most people don't realize all of the gifts and superpowers that they already have in them, and sometimes it just takes that feedback from others to help you to refine your strengths and to help you spot the opportunities that you might otherwise have missed. It's also, there's connection, there's collaborations to impact, amplify whatever impact you're making. These relationships with people, like you want to find those who are going to challenge you and support you and inspire you, because your vision grows, then it will grow so much faster beyond where you're at now or beyond what you could try to achieve on your own. Now, the fourth step is that you have to develop strategic persistence. Many people, they confuse persistence with stubbornness. Like they think that pushing forward, it's like, I'm going to push forward at all costs, no matter what. That's the only way I can succeed. That's not true. Like the true strategic persistence is about knowing when to hold firm and when to adjust. It's about maintaining your commitment to your vision while being flexible how you get there. Those who master this sort of a skill don't just survive obstacles, like they actually learn to navigate them effectively, and they come out bigger and stronger and able to make a greater impact on the other side. They recognize that roadblocks, they're not the end of the journey, they're the signals of another approach, that may be necessary. The ability to just persist with intention rather than frustration, it's what separates those who make an impact with those who get burnt out. To be an impact maker, you develop this skill by avoiding wasting time on dead-end strategies that you think are going to make a difference. Instead, you force a plan, like people who force plans that aren't working. Like you need to take the time and assess and adapt and move forward with a renewed focus. Like it's not about quitting when it gets tough. It's about recognizing that there's always more than one way to reach a goal. Just because some person you see achieved that thing doing it this way doesn't mean that's the right fit for you. Gosh, so many entrepreneurs and small businesses that I've worked with and coached over the years, like they want to know, like, what did so-and-so do? And I'm like, well, here's what they did, but you can't do it the exact way they did it because you're not the same person. You don't have the same stories, the same history, the same gifts and superpowers. Like it's totally different. So like you have to shift the tactics. You have to use different resources. You have to look for a fresh perspective on what that could be. And that's part of that strategic persistence, is that you keep moving forward without losing any sort of momentum. It's about balancing resilience with wisdom and understanding that when you keep pushing and when you shift your direction, you can do it without losing sight of the big picture of what you're trying to accomplish. So you can start by implementing, like, how do you pivot or persist? Like, it's I usually look at it as like a yellow, green, or green, yellow, red lights. Are we good to stay the course, or do we need to pivot and change? Like when there's obstacles, ask yourself questions like, is this a temporary challenge or a fundamental block? Like, can I reach the same outcome through a different method or through a different avenue? Like, what are some consequences of changing the direction versus staying on the same path? Like, this is going to help you to assess whether you should double down or whether you need to make a pivot. And it helps you make those decisions based on evaluation rather than the frustration that's going to try and keep you on the same track. Now, you also can reinforce the mindset by thinking of having in your journal a section all about strategy. And every time you face a challenge, document, like, what was the decision that was made? Whether you persisted or pivoted, and track the outcomes. And over time, it starts to sharpen your judgment to help you recognize the patterns that, what is working when I need to make those decisions and what doesn't. I can look at the past decisions and give myself so much more clarity and build confidence in my ability to make the right calls under pressure versus letting that emotional frustration be the thing that drives me forward. the ability to shift while staying committed allows you to navigate those setbacks with, a way more agility rather than resistance. And it just makes sure that your momentum stays strong, even when the circumstances change, keeping you, able to adapt and be effective in the pursuit of the impact you're trying to make. Now, our fifth one is that you have to, develop and nurture and cultivate energy management. Making an impact isn't about how much effort you can put into it. It's about how well you can sustain that effort over whatever period of time it takes. Many impact makers, they get burnt out because they operate under the belief that success requires a constant hustle, sacrificing rest in the name of progress. True, lasting impact isn't, about working nonstop. It's about working with intention, knowing that, hey, when I need to push forward or when I need to step back, when I need those breaks and those times away. The most impactful, effective impact makers don't just manage their time, they manage their energy. They know that that's a currency of life that they have in them. And they understand their ability to serve and create and lead is directly tied to how well they manage their physical and mental energy. High performers in any field operate in cycles of deep work and deep recovery. They don't try to maintain full speed, their full speed effort and intention, indefinitely, which doesn't work. Instead, they learn to recognize those rhythms that happen when they feel the most focused, when they're most creative, when they're most effective, and they structure their schedules around peak energy windows. I'm an early riser. I love waking up super early. I got up at 2 a.m. this morning. That's not normal. I just had someone I needed to talk to super early. But I needed my time in the morning where I get my peak energy and my peak work done before I start doing calls with people. And then, I've got a good friend of mine who he books all of his interactions with people in the late afternoon because he finds that his best ability of communication, that time where he can be the most effective, is later on in the day after he's had time to process things. So it's about knowing when those are for you and making time to do those, to fit them in the right place. And then, of course, having what are the activities that you use to restore yourself, to replenish your energy, what's the exercise, the meditation, time in nature, the creative pursuit, that helps you to create an intentional break that, brings back energy and prevents that exhaustion from creeping in. That's going to decrease your impact. And so you could use a couple different things here where you do things like an energy log where you track your energy levels through the day and noting when do I feel alert and focused and creative, or look for the patterns that, maybe are draining you. Identify when you're best, when you work your best, and align the most important tasks with those peak times. If you notice that your energy dips during a particular time of the day, go for a walk, add a mindfulness break, or some other way to restore activity during that sort of a period. Structure your day around those natural energy cycles that allow you to accomplish more with less effort. And then, of course, what are the recovery rhythms? What are the daily resets that you have? How do you take 5-minute breaks to, from your work sessions? What's your weekly downtime look like where you unplug completely? Is there a retreat or quarterly system you do where you get away for even more, where you can just step back and reflect and recharge? You got to make those things non-negotiables. One of my favorite coaches out there is a guy named Taki Moore, and he has this big calendar. And first thing he does in the year is he puts on every time, this is everywhere I'm not going to be working, all my vacation, all my time off, and then I fit everything else I need to accomplish throughout the year around that, so that I know I've baked in the ability to have the time off that I need. He's so committed to it, and he has so much energy and excitement, and he also gets to spend so much time with his family and runs a thriving business, even with taking and doing all of those things. When you prioritize energy renewal alongside productivity, you ensure that you can keep showing up at your best, not just in short sprints, but for the long hauls. Managing energy is essential to maximizing your gifts and superpowers and creating that impact you want. Sustainable impact isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters most at the times when you're most equipped to be at your best and to bring your best to the table. Now, our last one, the sixth one, is you have to take imperfect action. Perfectionism is one of the biggest, the most common roadblock that prevents people from ever making meaningful progress. Individuals believe that they need more preparation or more knowledge or the right conditions before they can take action. And that sort of a mindset, it leads to unnecessary hesitation or delays or It keeps you stuck in planning rather than progress, or in refinement, trying to iterate before we go do anything. Like, it slows things down for you. And the reality is that there never is a perfect time to start anything. I could make the case why you shouldn't start today, tomorrow, whatever, but that's the wrong way to look at it. It is like, no, I can start, even if it's a small thing. What's the small imperfect action that I could take that gets me one step closer? And guess what? I'm okay that I could fail. I'm okay that there may be a roadblock I run into. I'm okay that there's things I don't know. It's that whole concept of, like, you get in the car, you go to turn on navigation, like, the map appears and moves once you're in motion. It tells you where you should be going. It doesn't, it's more difficult when I'm just trying to guess what's going to be happening next, and you don't know, and so there never is a perfect time. Waiting for everything to align, simply just another form of procrastination, and it's disguised as preparation. And you may not have thought of it that way, but I've fallen into that bucket. I've fallen into that bucket many times. The most successful impact makers out there understand the path of success. Like, it's built on trial and adjustment and just continuing improvement. They don't hesitate or wait to get everything figured out. They just go, they start. They take with what they have, and they just refine their approach along the way. The best strategies, insights, or solutions are discovered through action, not through sitting on the sidelines waiting for the perfect moment to arrive. So think about it this way. Like, yesterday I talked about 24-hour rule from when you get something that excites you to taking action. Like, well, this is going to be a 48-hour rule. Like, anytime you catch yourself hesitating on something important, like, what am I doing in the next 48 hours that's going to start me down that path? What's the small step I can do? It doesn't have to be significant in any way. It doesn't have to be grandiose or groundbreaking. It just needs to break the cycle of inaction. It could be that you need to send that email, you need to reach out to someone, you need to draft the version of your idea. Like, the key is to move forward in some way. And then you could also, in your journal, focus on areas like where you write out about progress over perfection. And every day document steps like, okay, well, how did I work towards my goal, no matter how small? Even if I wasn't ready and I was figuring things out, or the things I figured out that, gosh, had I waited, I would have never known. And over time, you're going to start to see how those small steps compound into the significant, more forward momentum that you're looking for. Taking imperfect action, like, it matters because that momentum creates clarity. You're going to gain confidence. You don't get that by waiting. You build confidence by doing. Every step forward provides you that real world feedback, helping you to refine your approach and make smarter adjustments. And, action leads to learning leads to growth. You move forward despite uncertainty, you develop that resilience and adaptability and the ability to just navigate challenges no matter what that may be. It encourages you to go out and look for the ways that you can collaborate with others. What's the innovative way to approach things? How can you look for the ways to create progress or share progress with others? People who create the most impact are not those who waited until everything's perfect. They're the ones who just show up and took action and learned along the way. So, building resilience and perseverance, like, it's not about avoiding a challenge in any way. It's about developing the mindset that the tools to navigate them are within you, and you could do it effectively. Each of the things we talked about today, like, it builds upon one another, and it creates this more comprehensive approach to maintaining motivation and momentum, in your impact journey, especially when things maybe try to set you back or discourage you. And you don't have to implement everything at once. Start with one. What's the one simple thing that resonated with you the most? And begin there and build on from there. Because every step of is a step towards greater resilience and towards becoming a more effective impact maker. If you want to dive deeper into these ideas of discovering, gifts and superpowers, making greater impact, living a more fulfilled life, then I highly recommend that you go down in the description and get yourself a copy of the Giver Method book. And if you're not ready to invest $10 that will absolutely change your life, then just take the time to go download the Giver's Roadmap. It's free, and will at least start you on that path forward. Now, if this video helped you, if resonated with you, then give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who may need it. Leave a comment, like, telling which of these things maybe resonated with you the most, or how you plan to implement it, because that could be the thing that motivates somebody else. And with that, I'll just say, until next time, please keep growing, keep giving, and remember that the world needs resilient spirits within it. They need those who are persistent and committed to making that impact, and you could fall into that bucket if you just start taking the steps forward today. And so with that, have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in our next video. Have a good one.